Hello everyone and welcome to ABZ Innovation's webinar. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Today we are going to show you a lot of very exciting products, a lot of very exciting drones. So we are going to start with introducing the L series of our heavy-duty action drones, the L10, the L30. Then we are going to move there to show you the M40, which is the flagship of our M series drones, and we are going to close this section of the webinar with the C10, our latest and greatest heavy-duty cleaning drone. We are going to try to answer all your questions during the webinar, but it's going to be probably impossible to do that. So we are going to pick the most interesting questions and going to try to answer them, but please be sure that we are going to send you, after the webinar, all the answers to all your questions. So after we are finished here, we are going to have like a 1 or 2 minute pause so we can go outside to our test field, and we are going to continue our webinar there, showing you the drones in action. We are going to spray and we are going to clean with the C10 as well. So let's dive into the details and let's start with ABZ Innovation's first model, the L10 version 2. So this drone is a 10 kilogram payload capacity, 10 liter tanked spraying drone. And the most important advantage of this drone is that it's incredibly efficient when it comes to costs or when it comes to spraying efficiency. So this is, we believe, the most efficient spraying drone on the market when it comes to costs. The reason for that is very complex. First of all, the frame itself is small, which means you will have to have only a small battery. And considering the fact that the operating cost of a spraying drone is mainly battery degradation, if you have a smaller, more cost-efficient battery, you will of course automatically have lower operating costs. The second component of that is the drone's size and the structure of it. So as you can see here, it is extremely strong. The size of the arms are unnecessarily thick, and the result is that we have a very strong frame that protects every expensive component within the drone. So if we look at the LiDAR here, or the cameras, or the antennas, and if you imagine a crash, for example, everything will be saved, and all you have to do is replace a few components that are meant to absorb the crash energy. And the result of this design is amazing. Out of 100 issues on the field, 70 of them, so altogether 70% in crash cases, you can actually repair this drone on the field and keep on flying, which is just amazing. So let's talk a bit about the functionality of this drone other than the low operating costs. The most important feature when it comes to operation is the fact that the tank itself is removable, which is great because you can easily prepare another tank while the drone flies, which makes you very, very efficient and fast when the drone comes home for a refill. Other than that, we installed the highest end of software and sensor and electronics stack on the drone. So it means that although it's a small drone, a relatively cost-efficient drone, it still has the latest and greatest sensor technology, the latest and greatest software and electronics as well. So let's talk a bit about the LiDAR itself. We are going to say LiDAR a lot because it's a very important part of our drone technology, because this is the ultimate solution for situational awareness. And what I mean by that is the fact that thanks to this LiDAR solution, we can have a very, very dense point cloud. So what this sensor does, it basically maps the environment in front of the drone. We are creating a 3D map from those hundreds of thousands of little dots on board with a computational unit, and the result is that the drone understands what is happening around it. And to give you a few examples why this is very, very useful, the first is that based on this very dense 3D map, and point cloud, you can see even the thinnest power lines all the time, so you can avoid crashing into them. Radar or camera-based technology cannot do that. LiDAR can. The second very important practical advantage of this is the fact that the 3D map that we are creating real-time, mid-flight, allows the drone to automatically adjust its height compared to the crops. And that's critical because for spraying, you really need to keep always the ideal distance. And if we move to the spraying part of this drone, you can see it's equipped with a CDA system. Obviously, that's the only choice. This allows you to spray with the perfect droplet size all the time. And if you need smaller or bigger or medium-sized droplets or whatever you need, all you need to do is input the required droplet size into the transmitter, and the system will automatically do its job. You don't have to change nozzles, you don't have to do anything. And an additional advantage of this system is that it's very simple. It's basically maintenance-free, so you don't have to worry about clogging, you don't have to worry about replacing the nozzles all the time. So this is the L10. That's, to be honest, my favorite drone because it's just crazy efficient, very easy to pack it, very easy to transport it. All you need is technically like a scooter to drive out to the field and spray. But we know that there are use cases, farms, bigger farms, where this tank capacity is just not ideal. This is great for small-scale farming, spot spraying, differential spraying, but if you really need to spray a lot of acres or hectares, we have to move right here. Because here's the L30 drone, which basically follows the same principles, but in a bigger form. So let's talk about the main difference, which is, of course, other than the size, that we have a 30-liter tank here, which allows you to spray significantly faster compared to the L10. The smaller drone, in theory, in ideal conditions, can do around 10 hectares or 22 acres in 1 hour. This can do more than twice of that, so 21 hectares or 44 acres per hour. And the good news is that the well-proven software and sensor technology implemented in the L10 is used in the L30. So if you can fly this drone, you will be able to fly that drone. And the user interface and the capabilities of the obstacle avoidance, terrain following, and the situational awareness system will be the same. So let's discuss the hardware functionality of the drone. The first and most important feature is that we are right now using a big tank. And this big tank needs time to refill it. So that is why we have implemented a dual intake, so you can speed up the process of refilling the tank itself. Other than that, we followed the same design principles, which means that all expensive sensors and components are hidden in the middle, not in the crash zone. So if you have any problems, you can be sure that your costs will be extremely low. And if we look at the battery compartment of this drone, here we can have the standard 30 amp-hour battery. But the good news is that compared to the size and weight of this drone, the battery is actually relatively big. And the reason for that is that we wanted to make a drone that is, again, as efficient as possible. So with this setup, this drone has an industry-leading work capability of having been able to spray 2.5 hectares or a little bit more than 5 acres with a single charge if you use the European industry standard 10-liter on a hectare solution. No other drone can do that, and that's because we optimized the battery to weight ratio of the drone. So that is why, although it's only 30 liter, it can do the same speed as a bigger drone. And if we look at the capabilities of the tank itself, with a quick connector, like in 60 seconds, you can replace this big tank and put in an even bigger 50-liter tank for spreading seeds, fertilizer granules, or whatever you want to seed or spread. So this is all about the L30. Now let's move a little bit to the left And here you can see our M series. The M series is basically a naked version of our drones without any payload, no spraying tanks, no cleaning solutions, nothing. And these drones are getting more and more popular because they have a very, very important, unique feature compared to all drones like spraying drones, cleaning drones. The fact that they have an open source software solution and a lot of different communication ports and power ports on board already installed. And this means that if you are an R&D company, a university, or you just want to experiment with your own payloads, this drone will be the perfect platform for you because you can do whatever you want with this drone. Let me just list you a couple of examples. What you see here right now was designed and developed in a couple of days, really, because it's so easy to work with this drone for delivering food for workers on a farm above the Danube. It was very difficult to use the ferry all the time, so we added this heat insulated box. You put in the lunch of the workers and you tell the drone that please just go, and it will automatically fly to the location where the workers can have their lunch. We also have a solution on the same platform where we basically carry a huge broadcast movie lamp that allows shoots like production to have like an artificial moonlight for their night shoots. And the potential use cases are endless, basically, because the only limitation with this drone is that you can carry a maximum of 40 kilograms. But it has also a smaller version where you have the maximum payload capacity of 10 kilograms. Now let's move to our latest release, the C10. To be honest, when we started examining the option of building a drone for facility management and high pressure cleaning, we never experienced that it's going to be such a big hit. So this drone is truly unique right now on the market. There is absolutely no alternative to that. Let me explain why. First of all, it's big enough to carry a huge, very, very powerful high pressure system. So this drone can have a pressure system, pressure washing system with 200 bars and 12 liters of flow rate. That's so strong that it's relatively hard even for a human to hold a pressure system like that. And this C10, based on the frame of the L10, is perfectly capable to do that. And it's not only capable of handling really high pressure and, as a result, cleaning power, it's also extremely well built for such environments where you use such a drone. For example, in urban environments where you need to clean office buildings, factories, or stuff like that. So what we did with this drone is we implemented, of course, a dual RTK system, which is used together with our base station, gives the drone a centimeter level maneuverability. So basically, if you're a pilot, you can control this drone on a centimeter level accuracy. But the even better function of this system is that we find a solution for the biggest problem for such a product, which is keeping the ideal distance from the surface that you want to clean. It's very obvious that if you want to remove the dirt from the surface, you cannot be too far from the surface because you will lose the power of your stream. So what we did is we implemented a millimeter wave radar sensor here. And what it does is basically it always measures the distance in front of the drone from the surface. And if you flip a switch, it will automatically suck the drone to the wall at a perfect distance from the surface. And you don't have to worry about keeping, let's say, 40 centimeters or 50 centimeters or whatever is the ideal distance in your use case, because the drone automatically will do that for you. And all you need to do is maneuver the drone up and down, right and left, which gives you amazing safety and precision at the same time. And even if you have any problem or you are not in this automatic mode, we also have a very, very sturdy cage like a bumper cage that allows you to actually hit a wall with the drone without any problems. So the C10 is basically industrial, heavy-duty, high-pressure cleaning drone with all the software sensor capabilities that you can imagine for a very efficient and very, very nice feeling doing these high-effort tasks like cleaning factory buildings or office buildings or whatever you can think of. The workflow is quite simple because this tool starts basically from here. So all you need to do is choose basically a high pressure wash system. We have solutions for that, of course, but you can use your own as well. And as long as you attach that to this hose, you can fly up to 60 meters with this drone without any problem. So that's our latest and greatest for facility management and cleaning purpose. And now we are going to have a few questions you have asked so far. So let me just check them. So the first question is, EU regulations are quite strict. How can ABZ Innovation drones be used in the EU? It's a very great question, and actually the answer is not that difficult as you may think. So all our drones are fully certified for EU use. All of them have the required certifications. And specific use cases are actually already permitted. What I mean by that is you can use the C10 for cleaning. You can use spraying drones with the spreader systems. You can use the smaller drones also with spreader systems. You can also do trihogramma, and even spraying, being the most difficult, is already allowed by multiple countries. And the good news is that basically the trend is clear. 3 years ago it was very difficult. Now it's progressing extremely fast, and it's only a question of time when you can do basically everything with these drones. And also a little addition to that is that all these drones are, by the way, usable in the US and in the LATAM as well, having the required FCC certifications, and the FAA approval for the bigger ones is already pending. Next question was, what tasks can the cleaning drones be used for? Okay, I partly mentioned that, but actually it's high altitude cleaning up to 6 meters, and basically it has a custom designed hardware solution and software solutions I already mentioned. So with this solution, you can basically clean solar panels, buildings, bridges, factories, and since the platform itself is ready and very versatile, if you need certain cleaning solutions like filtered water, heated water, or adding some kind of detergent, that's already possible with this drone. So literally the limit for this is technically or imagination, because whatever surface or building or structure you want to clean, the only question is how you are going to design the base station that will pump up the water for the system. We have another question. While all manufacturers are developing larger and larger drones, why did we keep the L10 series and continue to develop our 10-liter drone? Oh, that's a very good question. So, yes, I understand why people may think that the bigger is the better, but actually when it comes to efficiency, the L10 is by far the best, because that has the lowest operating costs per hectare possible, around 60 cents euro or US dollar, more or less, per hectare, which is great. Also, there are a lot of use cases where you simply cannot basically have the real advantages of a bigger drone. Let's say small-scale farmer, fragmented fields where you cannot really use the bigger tank because you need to move your base station anyway, spraying a hectare here, spraying half a hectare there. So for that, the L10 is a great solution. It also includes trihogramma option, which makes no sense with a bigger drone. And also one other thing, since the drone behaves like the bigger ones, and the software is again the same, it's a very, very good training solution. So with a small compact drone, you can react faster, you can do trainings with lower risks and lower costs. So the L10, we believe, is still a very, very important drone in our lineup, and we are going to keep it basically forever, because there will be always demand for a smaller drone. And we believe as the market progresses and more farmer realizes that, oh, I could have chosen a smaller one because that would be also fine, even more demand will rise for such a small drone. The next question is, why should I buy an L30 instead of a DJI T50 since the DJI has a larger tank? Great question. I perfectly understand. Actually, it's up to you. We have a few arguments on that side. First of all, efficiency. I know the T50 has a 40-liter tank and this is only a 30-liter tank. But if we look at like industry standard European serial spraying settings like 10 to 15 liters on a hectare, actually the L30 will outperform the T50 because they have the same battery, but the L30 is lighter, which means that the L30 can keep flying and spraying longer than the T50. Efficiency-wise, it's another very important point that if you have any problems, the L30 will have a significantly more cost-efficient repair, simply because we don't have expensive components in the crash zone. Also, I would add that if you prefer to have quality, fast and reliable support for your products, it's not about the T50 or the L30 in general, but it's also very important to see that with ABZ Innovation, our support system and our spare parts supply is the best, to be honest, in the industry. So thank you very much for the first session and your attention. These were the few questions we had time for. We are going to answer all other questions, at least in written form. But now I'm going to head out to our field. It will take 2 minutes probably, and then we are going to continue our webinar with the actual flight demos on the field. Thank you.